Hello, welcome back to Teaching Physical Education and Health in Elementary Grade. So for this video, this is for lecture 19. Okay, let's start. Critical thinking. I know you are very done with critical thinking. This is very gina-discuss na siya every now and then, but let's just still discuss it, okay? Critical thinking is the process of thinking about ideas or situations in order to understand them fully, identify their implications, make a judgment, or guide decision making. Critical thinking includes such as questioning, analyzing, examining opinions, detecting biases, predicting, synthesizing, identifying values and issues, distinguishing between alternatives. So these are the area or reach the scope that you can really enhance your critical thinking skills, or your students rather. Students use critical thinking skills in health and physical education when they assess, analyze, and or evaluate the impact of something, and when they form an opinion and support that opinion with a rationale. In order to think critically, students need to ask themselves effective questions in order to interpret information, analyze situations, detect biases in their own sources, determine why a source might express a particular bias. Okay, I think sometimes we're very overwhelmed. No, it is a Filipino culture. Pag kanang medyo makita nato na something wrong, we really called it na lutong Macau, or gikaraw na sa referee, or nagbinaro ang kontra, ang ano. So, of course, still, even if it's not in the right way, but still we are using we are enhancing our critical thinking skills. They also they examine the opinions, perspectives, and values of various groups and individuals. Look for implied meaning and use the information gathered to form a personal opinion or stance. Okay. What is important is also before we do a evaluation, when we do synthesizing, analyzing things, we need also to educate ourselves when it comes to what sort of opinion are we going to express, because it's before you express your opinion, make sure na nag-research ta. Now we already know the mechanics, we already know the rules, ngano naka come up ta ani na idea, or ngano naka-come up ta ani na opinion, kay lisod kayo, no? Take note, lisod kayo when mo release ta og mga statement, we release the opinion, tapos we don't double check it kung sakto ba, or pwede siya mo mahimo siyang fake news, or dili dapat i-validate nato daan. Okay? A personal plan of action with regards to making a difference. In the health and physical education curriculum, the social emotional learning skills expectation address both critical thinking and creative thinking skills, and students have opportunities to apply these skills in variety of contexts and situations across the curriculum. Students approach critical thinking in various ways. Some students find it helpful to discuss their thinking, asking questions and exploring ideas. Of course, we have this student who would really like to discuss things when it comes to peer activities or group activities. Ganahan kis lang mga anak. And the other students may take time to some consideration for observe and situation, or consider a text carefully before commenting. They may prefer not to ask questions or express their thought orally while they are thinking. Sometimes may munta na murag gamay na kayo ng minaw, gamay na ka participate when it comes to discussion, but always remember that we have different types of learners. Okay, in a classroom there are different and tones of types of learners. So do not generalize your learners. Some would really not excel in verbal or oral discussion, but it's very good with written quizzes and written activities, and so on and so forth. Critical literacy. It's the term used to refer to a particular aspect of critical thinking. It involves looking beyond the literal meaning of a text to determine what is present and what is missing in order to analyze and evaluate the text's complete meaning and author's intent. In concern with issues related to fairness, equity, and social justice. So if you're going to, what do you call this? Kanang mo appeal, if you're going to appeal for something na feeling niyo mo na there's something wrong, then you might want to consider all your cases down before you make an appeal. So critically literate students rather adopt a critical stance, asking what view of the world the text advances and whether they find this view acceptable. Who benefits from the text and how the reader is influenced. Critical literate students understand that meaning is not found in the text in isolation. People make sense of a text or determine what text means. In a variety of ways, students therefore need to take into account points of view. Of course, pag lahi-lahi tag points of view. For example, katong naa si Bagyong Kinta ba to? Katong nag-hashtag o nasaan ang Pangulo. So, grabe ang mga points of view sa mga tao ato. Ang uban, sige pangita ni President. Ang uban, they're defending the President. Okay. The President is still working. Bahalag na asa siya sa Philippines. Nag-work Japon siya. There are lots of offices. Ang mga LGUs, ang DPWH, nag-work na sila to prepare for the disaster. So, lahi-lahi o point of view. For example po, katong Manila Bay na gitambakan ng dolomite, di ba? So, ang context, the belief and the practices of the time and place in which a text was created and those which is being read or viewed. For example, the news. Unsa ang context sa news? So, we really need to identify if this news is fake or this news is legit. Okay? The background of the person who is interacting with the text. Okay? So, kung makita ninyo mo, balik ta dito kay Duterte. This is a very good example. Makita ninyo kung ang gasulat is pro Duterte or makita ninyo kung ang gasulat is anti Duterte or anti-government. Intertextuality. This is the information that a reader or viewer brings to a text from other text experienced previously. So, an example is ang points, ang information na gikan sa reader or sa viewer, iya siyang paraphrase. So kung nanay status tapos imo pa jud siyang gi-share, so naghimo na pud kag imong kagalingong text or naghimo na pud kag imong kagalingong opinion. So mo na siya. Gaps in the text. Information that is left out and that the reader or viewer must fill in. So, mga open-ended questions. So, kung katong mga questions na naniniwala ka ba? Or ano sa tingin mo? So, ingana. Silence in the text. The absence of voices of certain people or group. Or mga playing safe lang dun. Naghatag lang dun mga facts. There's no opinion from the writer. Ang iyan ang dun gihatag sa text or sa article is all facts. Okay? In health and physical education, students are critically literate, are able, for example, to actively analyze media messages and determine possible motives and underlying messages. For example, since you are very exposed when it comes to social media, and when ang application here on physical education and health, daghan kaayong mga fake news o dili effective sa internet. So, kailangan na to ma-scrutinize to ng mga things na dapat ma-identify na to. If that particular video or that particular article is legit o applicable ba dun siya sa atwa. Only then are students equipped to produce their own interpretation of an issue. Opportunities should be provided for students to engage in a critical discussion of text, including books and textbooks, television programs, movies, web pages, advertising, music, gestures, oral text, and other forms of expression. Such decisions empower students to understand the impact on a member of society that was intended by the text creator. Language and communications are never neutral. They are used to inform, entertain, persuade, and even manipulate. Take note. The literacy skills of metacognition support students' ability to think critical through reflection on their own thought process. It's very important, di ba? I told you earlier from the last video that we need to really validate the feelings of our students. We really need to acknowledge rather their opinions in a certain topic or a certain issue. Acquiring and using metacognitive skills has emerged as a powerful approach for promoting a focus on thinking skills literacy across all disciplines, and for empowering students with the skills needed to monitor their own learning. In health and physical education, metacognitive skills are developed in a number of ways. For example, the social emotional learning skills expectations include the development of skills for building awareness, identifying, managing emotions, managing stress, coping and staying positive and motivated. We already discussed this one on the last or previous video, that this is very important. Okay, always remember that we are not just developing the skills when it comes to sports and exercises here on PE or physical education and health, but also we are the whole human being, the whole character, the whole behavior. We are molding our children. As students develop these skills, they learn to recognize their strengths and needs, develop coping strategies, monitor their progress, and develop plans for making healthier choices and for a healthy living. Similarly, students reflect on technique and monitor personal progress to develop and refine movement skills and monitor personal progress to help improve personal fitness. It's really important. It's really important to gather data, to track down your data. For example, if you're losing weight, dapat na-educate data so that makita nimo ang progress sa imong execution, sa imong exercise or sa imong gusto na buhaton. So for example, if you want to develop your upper strength for doing push-up, so dapat tagani mo time frame. For example, sa 1 minute pila ka push-up ako makaya, or sa 5 minutes pila ka push-up ako makaya, or nagkataas ba imong push-up for 1 week, 10 push-up lang ka, so for 2 weeks naka 15 push-up ka. So importante jud ang data. Importante po ang picture kung di mo gana mag-data para po makita nimo ang improvement sa imong gina-improve na body parts, okay, or muscles. Inquiry skills. Inquiry and research are the heart of learning in all subject areas. In health and physical education, students are encouraged to develop their ability to ask questions and to explore a variety of possible answers to those questions. Teacher can support the process through their own use of effective questioning techniques and by planning instruction to support inquiry, particularly in the context of experimental learning. So sometimes makabantay mo when we do the face-to-face, diba, pag when we throw questions to our teachers and they throw it back to us. For example, teacher, ngano kailangan man siya buhaton? What do you think, darling? Ngano kailangan jika nato ni siya buhaton? Diba? So mga techniques sa teacher. Different kind of questions that can be used to stimulate thinking include the following. We have the simple skilled question, which elicit purposeful feedback and develop skill awareness. For example, how was your head position when you landed from the jump? So this is analyzing a skills na iyang gibuhat. For example, front roll, back roll. Okay. Analytical questions, which develop decision-making and problem-solving skills with respect to a game or activity, strategy, or personal health choice by asking how or why. For example, how can you and your partner work together in order to keep possession of the ball longer? How would you go about solving a problem in a relationship? What steps do you need to take? So these are analytical questions. Another is review question, which develop thinking skills related to reflecting on activity or in development of skills and devising rather ways to improve the activity or approach. What could you change in this activity so that everyone has more a chance to be involved in the play? What did you like about the activity? So these are the review questions. So it's like more on the evaluation process. Um, when you throw review questions. So what do you think your strength in doing this activity, or what are the challenges that you have faced during this activity that makes you successful? Okay, the ability to respond to such questions helps students build their confidence and competence rather as they develop physical and health literacy. The teacher's questioning also provides students with a model for developing their own habits of inquiry. As they advance through the grades, students acquire the skills to locate and gather relevant information from a wide range of print and electronic resources, including books, periodicals, dictionaries, encyclopedias, interviews, videos, and relevant internet sources. The questioning they practice in the early grades becomes more sophisticated as they learn that all sources of information have a particular point of view and that what the recipient of the information has a responsibility to evaluate it, determine its validity and relevance, and use it appropriate ways. Okay, di ba? Pag na yung mga chismis, na yung mga chika mo abot sa inyo ha, you need to determine, to validate, and to check the relevance of this chismis sa inyo ha. So, if it does not give any relevance, you cannot validate the chika and it does not determine anything, then you stop the chika on you. Okay? Dili na spread ang mga chismis. The ability to locate questions and validate information allows students to become independent, and this is a lifelong learning. Okay, I think every teacher ang ilang jud gusto is to embody or embedded a learning that will take this until they grow old, diba? Remember jud na nadyo tay teacher na ato jud gina-apply ang iyang learnings, ang atong learn sa iyaha as we grow old and as we become an adult ourselves. Numerical C Skills, the health and physical education program, also builds on, reinforces, and enhances numeracy, including fundamental math skills, particularly in the areas involving computation and graphing. So if you have been under me during in my PE class, I let you compute and make your own scheduling. So it really takes graphing and it talks about numbers. So for example, calculation and graphing, so mo akong gingon ganina, and conversely, student will be well-being and sense of self-worth and efficacy can be enhanced through learning in the mathematics classroom. So dili lang sa math class ang naay numbers. Naapon na siya sa PE. And that is all for lecture 19. I hope you have learned something, and if you have any questions, please do not hesitate to PM me or post it in our group chat. Okay? Bye!